A realtor and his wife and children are summoned to a mansion, which they soon discover is haunted. And while they attempt to escape, he learns an important lesson about the family he has neglected.
Welcome to the Walt Vault with
Michelle,
Andre,
Louise,
and me, Emily. We're a family-friendly podcast where we pick a new Disney movie each week. We watch it, share our thoughts, and then relate it to pop culture, fandoms, and anything else that pops into our heads. Enjoy!
hello and welcome to the Walt Vault, episode 51.
51.
We did it.
51.
51.
Area.
51.
Is it Area 51?
Yeah, area 51.
I was going to say it was 52 for some reason, but no, it's 51.
Spooky.
Spooky. Yes, speaking of spooky, we are in
Spooky.
the middle of October. It's still our spooky movie month.
Spooky.
I just made that up.
Spooky.
I like saying spooky.
Spooky movie month.
Spooky.
So this week we are talking about 2003's
Live action
movie based on a ride, The Haunted Mansion.
Movie based on a ride.
Live action movie based on a ride.
Yes.
That's great.
Not to be confused with other movies based on a ride.
I'm actually excited because I know a few of our listeners and some of our friends over at Podcateers are very fond of the Haunted Mansion ride to a point like that's like their ride. And I know lots of people who very fondly dislike this movie. Fondly dislike this movie. So
have very fond memories about how much they hate it.
Our discussion on this is going to be interesting, and I'm also interested to hear what a lot of our listeners have to say about our thoughts on this movie. So first impression, I'll start with mine. I don't remember seeing it the first time. I think I did see it in the theater.
I saw it in the theater.
Like with my mom and
I don't
stuff.
think I saw it in the theater.
But I don't remember it. So, but I knew going into it this time that a lot of people dislike it. So I'm like, okay, it's just going to be a silly movie. Like, all I'm going to go into it thinking is this is going to be a silly Halloween movie. And it was a silly Halloween movie. Like, it was okay. It was good. Mm-hmm. It's not like the greatest movie ever, but if you go into it thinking like this is just going to be a silly Haunted Mansion movie, thought it was fine.
Yeah.
I didn't hate it. I wasn't like, this movie sucks.
If you have chill expectations, then it's a good
fine.
movie.
Yeah,
exactly. What happened is they just spent all their money on Eddie Murphy, so they couldn't build a plot.
That's what I said while we were watching.
They had zero money for anything else.
That they must have used a large portion of their budget on Eddie Murphy
for
because I think the budget for this movie was like $90 million.
What?
And for most horror movies can be made for really cheap.
Special effect, or just like
if you use a lot of practical effects and you hire relatively new or cheap actors, then you can make something really spectacular without having to spend too much money. So for $90 million for a horror movie, but even though it's not really horror,
but it's
horror.
It's a haunted movie.
Yes.
Haunted movie.
Actually, on IMDb it says it's a comedy, family, fantasy movie.
Oh, all right.
Not even scary.
Not
Interesting.
Even
so then, what's
thrilling.
your first impression? Then?
My first impression, I saw this when it came out, but I don't remember seeing it in the theater. Probably when it came out on DVD or was just on the Disney Channel or something like that. I don't remember it very much. I remember not loving it, but upon watching it this time, I found Eddie Murphy to be pretty funny. He was good.
He's just a funny.
He was good the whole time. But the rest of the movie was kind of like tailing after his performance. I enjoyed him more than I enjoyed the movie itself.
I liked to hate him.
Nah,
because he was pretty annoying.
right? Yeah,
He was supposed to be annoying,
Yes, exactly.
which made it funny.
Mm-hmm.
So your first impression is
my first impression is
Yeah, it's good.
It's okay.
Yeah. Emily, first impression.
It's a movie. It was on film. I remember watching this in the theater. I remember very distinctly watching it with my dad. My dad took me and one friend, and I remember liking the fact that it was in the Disney parks. You know what I mean? Like the songs were similar.
Of course.
Yeah.
But I don't really remember if I liked it or not. I remember being scared with the zombies. Part, I remember being like, "Whoa!" Because in 2003, I would have been maybe 12-ish.
12, yeah.
And so for me, I was not. My parents shielded me, definitely. I was not watching scary stuff. So that was probably pretty scary for me. Upon this viewing, I enjoyed it for what it was. But unfortunately, there's a lot of things that could have been done that would have been cool.
Right.
But I liked the try to be story that it used.
Yeah.
I liked where it tried to go.
Mm-hmm. It had some good concepts in there.
Yeah.
For sure.
They tried. There's definitely a lot of interpretations from the ride that they did in this movie that I dislike, but then there's also some interpretations that I enjoy.
Agreed.
So it's fine. You know, I want to say it's a low budget movie. Like, I know they spent $90 million on it, but to me it was
felt
just.
It felt very
and
low
I
budget,
still
yeah.
think about all these movies coming from the early 2000s that were just like meh. Like it was a Haunted Mansion movie. I was cool. Awesome. Guess what movie came out that I was paying more attention to? Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, so that's the thing, is that
Unfortunate,
Pirates of
right?
the Caribbean came out just a few months before this movie
And I
came
was
out.
about that life.
Like, it came out in like the summer of 2003, and this came out in the fall.
And it had great effects.
And
Oh, yeah.
the
Blew
Pirates of
my
the Caribbean.
minds. Think about it.
We
It
talked
blew our
about
minds.
it. It was awesome. It was great.
And it's still pretty good.
It had compelling story, characters, visuals. It was all good.
So we got 2 movie ride movies, technically.
Yeah,
you
so
know,
we were
but
like, "Hey, it's ride time. Let's get on it, on to Space Mountain next or whatever." And then everybody sees
Tomorrowland.
the Haunted
Oh,
Mansion.
jeez.
Yeah, exactly, Tomorrowland. And then everybody sees the Haunted Mansion, and it's just like, oh, well, maybe not all the rides.
Which
are
I
good
know we
movies.
don't normally do this, but I think to fuel the discussion, it could be good. Let's go with its Rotten Tomato score right now.
All right, so
it's-
the
I'm sure it's-
Haunted Mansion Rotten Tomatoes score is at
Whoa.
a staggering 13%.
Oh,
13%.
It's a spooky
Emily.
number.
that
Ha-ha.
I know.
It's literally 13%.
I would give it better than a 13.
The
but
audience
Hey, the
score
audience score is
is
30%.
30. Yes.
So
Not much better.
a little bit.
It's pretty bad.
They're still both
bit
Fs.
better.
One's just like an F, F, F.
Yeah, so
And the other's like a FF.
I think for the most part, a lot of that is
13.
just really high expectations for a
Unfortunately, yeah.
ride movie that came right after Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Because other than
Johnny Depp, Eddie Murphy. Like, it's just.
Other
It
than
probably
that,
didn't come out at a good time.
it's probably at its worst. Like in my mind, it's like a 50 to 60% or
I would
something
At
say
like
least
that.
for a tomato
You know?
score.
Yeah.
I
I
would say it's a
think.
D.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not
for
a
a tomato
13%.
score, I thought it would have like a
13% is
60.
low.
Yeah.
Not when he brought it up, I was like 13.
Oh my, that's really bad.
So yeah, but like I said, I've heard lots of things from this movie, and hardcore Disney fans that love Haunted Mansion tend to not like this movie. Or
Yeah.
just people in general, Disney fans in general, don't like this movie.
I think I liked it more because at that time in my life, Haunted Mansion was not my favorite ride. And so I wasn't like
Yeah, me
super
either.
like nostalgically tied to the ride where I was like, that's incorrect or that's not
Right.
Like that was not the ride that I was like super excited to go on. Like I really wanted to go on Indiana Jones.
We were
Other than-
kids.
Sure.
I was 10 when this movie came out. How old was I in 2003? Yeah, 10.
10.
Yeah. So for me that wasn't the killer effect, and I think for other people it was.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I thought it was fun. It was a
Yeah.
fun movie. Like I said, it's one of those movies where I like thoroughly went into it being like, this is gonna be a fun, silly movie. That's all it was.
So the whole premise of this movie, really, it's pretty small if you take a step back. The Evers, what's his name? Eddie Murphy, Jim in this movie. Jim and his wife are real estate agents, and pretty much, grand scheme of things, he works too much and has been neglecting his family. And so
Typical.
there's to make up for missing his anniversary and for being kind of a pain in the butt, they are going to go on a lakeside
Like trip for the weekend.
And in the process of that, they get a call from an estate that needs to be sold. And they make a quote-unquote detour, a 20-minute tops
20 minutes
detour
tops.
20 minutes stops.
to go see this house. They go inside the house, and then they get stuck in the Haunted Mansion.
Yes, the
and
Haunted
so
Mansion
the entire...
Is like, what else are you going to do with a Haunted Mansion movie? Like, it has
Right.
to be real estate.
Right.
They gotta sell the house,
The rest
yeah.
of the movie is them attempting to get out and save the family.
Yeah.
Really, that's the intent of the entire story.
That's like basically the whole storyline. There you
Yeah.
go.
Right.
And I'm actually cool with that.
Yeah,
Like, I
it's
like
fine.
the fact that they were very successful real estate agents.
Yeah.
That they were tag teaming as a family business. But you can just tell that Eddie Murphy takes it as a, like...
It's like a personal challenge.
Yeah, it's like his manliness
Yeah.
is like attached to how many houses he sells. And the wife, what's her name?
Sarah.
Sarah wants to have a good family life. And so for them, that's where their
Like a
inner turmoil
balancing
comes
act going
from.
on.
Right.
They also have 2 children, so I guess we can
Yes.
introduce them. What are their names?
That's a good question.
Oh, I remembered so many names from this movie.
Michael and Megan.
Okay, Michael and Megan. Basically, the son. The first time we're introduced to him, he's like, Dad, there's a spider on the wall. And his dad's like, you got to be a man. Get a nice magazine and kill the spider.
No, he says, whack it.
Whack it. You know.
He says whack it probably
Says whack it
25
a lot.
times.
So
Like,
we're kind of
stop.
introduced to his son's personality as being more afraid of things. And then his
Cautious.
daughter's personality as being adventurous and not afraid. So she comes in and whacks a spider. She's like, be quiet.
At that
you know?
point in the movie, I was expecting it to be like, okay, so Eddie Murphy is telling his kid to whack the spider, and he's trying to get him to be brave and stuff like that and do it on his own. But like secretly, Eddie Murphy was going to be absolutely terrified, and he definitely was never going to be the one to
is that
whack
where
the
you're
spider.
feeling
it?
And I thought that once they got to the mansion, he would have been just like hollering around and being absolutely terrified of everything that was happening. But that kind of really wasn't
No.
what happened.
No.
He
Yeah.
was kind of
Annoying.
annoyingly oblivious
Yeah.
to the fact that there was all of these very weird things happening around him. And I think that might be part of the real estate agent in him, that he was, I'm not saying that like real estate agents are shisty, but maybe he was just like, I'm going to let all this weird stuff go
Right.
because this house
I'm selling this
is
house.
going to make me rich.
Yes.
Like, so maybe he was just like, whatever,
Yeah.
there's all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he was looking at the bright side, like, yeah, there's a lot of dust and stuff in here, but guess what? We get a cleaning crew in here. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
I'll tell you
So-
right now that my suspension of disbelief was broken when they got to the house and they went in and there was a cemetery, and then they went in and like Ramsey was being all creepy and terrifying. There's no way no black family would have gone to that house. It's,
Oh my gosh.
it's not happening. At
Well,
all.
and that's where we get some kind of crappy.
Story?
Yeah.
So the
Or
story,
even just like, I was going to say animation, because when they're walking into the house and they look and see the graveyard, you can tell it's just like a painted wall. It was so bad.
Or something.
It was a painted
bad.
something.
It's
I was like,
interesting
that's terrible.
because
Come
like
on.
I watched like the behind the scenes on the DVD, and like they did build a fair amount of graves back there behind this whole facade of a house that they also built. But then, yeah, they must have just put like a matte painting over the background, and it didn't really blend that well with.
It put
It
some
would have
smoke
better-
in there.
It would have been better to have just been a swamp with like random graves
Sure.
than to have been like this like really funky looking
Intricate graveyard.
graveyard.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And plus, okay, spoiler alert, I guess, that everyone in the mansion is dead right now.
Right.
But how long do you think they've been dead?
Hundreds of years.
Well,
I'm assuming this is like 1800s.
yeah. So let's assume that they died.
So I guess
in-
we can kind of.
So like 200 years worth of people have died, but that's not that many people. And why are there
Right.
like 7 million graves back there?
Well, and at
like it
first-
doesn't make sense.
Well, and
Yeah.
at first I thought it was like the family graveyard, which I think is what it's supposed to be. But going on farther into the movie,
Like
I'm like,
random
what the heck
old
is going on with
people.
this?
Right.
Like
And,
it's the
and
town
that's
cemetery.
where, you know, they did these things where they're trying to bring the ride into the movie where it didn't make sense.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's kind of backtrack and go to the story of the mansion. So there is a master of the
Master
mansion. His
Ramsley.
name.
Oh no, not
No.
that's the butler.
That's
Gracie.
Butler. Gracie, Master Gracie, yes. So he is the said master of this mansion. And he apparently only lives there with like his butler and 2 helpers. Yeah? Like a maid
in
and a...
in the modern day mansion. Yeah,
Yes.
but in the frame story that they show
Yes.
in the very beginning, he what even happened? He
Oh, it was
There's
a
a
lot.
masquerade.
There's a masquerade, yes.
The
Very
masquerade,
similar
guys.
to our
more masks that I
To
don't want to
our-
hold.
yeah. Beating the bees.
There's a masquerade going on. At the masquerade, the love of his life dies. So she's
Well, yes, but let's let Emily do it. I think...
Why?
I feel
Andre,
like...
you're not allowed
Are
to
we
do it.
missing
I'm not allowed to
details?
do it.
Because I can't remember it.
Pretty
Well,
much.
she
no,
gets poisoned.
that's pretty much what you see.
Yes.
Is that it seems very Romeo and Juliet.
Oh, okay.
At that point, but you don't know why she kills herself. Like you
Right.
see.
Oh, yes,
You
that's
s-
right. We think she killed herself.
Yeah,
Yes.
so you see the masquerade happening, which I won't lie, this opening sequence was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
The graphics in between, like they went between like live action.
because it was all during the opening credits.
Yes, so they do a live action like everyone's in a masquerade. Looks pretty cool. Then you see like this really crappy like CGI, like computer going over the top. Like, just leave that out. Like, let's just watch like live action. It's better. So you see like turns of fate. You see like these little cards pop up, and then you see like the death card. And so then you see like they're in love, but she dies, and so you're assuming she killed herself. Because she read this letter that was being written or of some sort. It's just a little confusing, but you see that she died.
Right.
And he is super distraught.
He's upset.
And right at the end, hangs himself.
He hangs himself.
Yes.
And so that makes sense-ish for our understanding of the mansion, because the moment you walk into the elevator room or the stretching room, once the scene is over and you look up, there's a hanging body. So at least they've got like your understanding of how that works.
Right. Yeah. So after that happens, then it cuts back to the modern day, and we
see the family
we
there.
get introduced to the Evers family. Nope, that wasn't it. Oh, yes, it is. Yes, so the Evers family. Evers and Evers forever. What is the realty thing?
The grossest thing I've ever heard in my life. It's like, what is Evers and Evers realty, where we want you to be happy for Evers and Evers? Like, shut your mouth.
That could be better.
Get out of here.
Let's workshop that for a little bit before we base our whole career off of it.
Let's just put it at the parking lot.
Not have it at all. So once they get to the house, it's creepy. They see the backyard. The kids are kind of funny because they're like, "There's dead people back here." And then the what did Eddie Murphy say to like try to spin that? He's like, "Oh yeah,
Well, it's the historical something.
yeah, historical
Sprawling
sex.
grounds or
Yeah.
something.
something like that." That wasn't that convincing. If my house had a graveyard behind it.
No, I'd walk up and be like, "You straight lied."
No. First of all, any mansion in my mind is haunted. Like, automatically.
Truth.
Like, any mansion or big house I see, I'm like, that's haunted.
Especially one like that.
Especially one that's basically in a swamp that
And it's
has moss and
just
cobwebs everywhere.
so creepy.
And so many spiders.
They finally get to the door, and they're knocking, and it's raining, and Ramsley, he answers, and he's the creepiest butler dude I've ever seen in my life.
Played by Mr. Terrence Stamp.
Yeah,
Stab?
He talks
Stamp.
Stamp?
Stamp.
MP?
Can you say it like a normal person?
Yeah, Terrence Stamp.
He's literally so creepy.
I heard stab.
Didn't you, though?
He was Apper, for sure.
Apper? Yeah.
He's so creepy.
So he's very creepy, and he keeps
he's like,
appearing out of nowhere.
Your family?
Yeah, I like how
must
he
come
does
alone.
not talk to anyone but her for the first, like, 4
That's right.
scenes.
Yeah, that is cool.
Like, he, like, pretends like...
Eddie Murphy keeps
Eddie
trying to
Murphy's
shake his hand.
he, like, pretends like Eddie Murphy's not even there.
Or the kids, really.
Yeah.
He's like, you have lovely children. That's about it.
Yeah.
To her, Sarah, you
Right,
have
yes.
lovely children.
Yeah.
Oh, Sarah. Yeah, because that's right. Because Ramsley is the one who called Sarah
Yes. About the mansion.
about the mansion. She's the one with the trustworthy face. His less so.
And it's also annoying that Eddie Murphy's trying to point out like all the good things about this house when in my mind I'm like, you know it's creepy, dude. He's like, wow, look at this giant dining room and sprawling staircase. I'm like, nobody cares. You know it's creepy, dude. There's literally spider webs everywhere.
Yeah.
But that's his job, is to, like, spin it to make it sound much better than it is.
That's
Right,
true. That's
yeah.
true.
It made me wonder, like, I don't know if they ever even brought it up, but like, if the house is for sale and they're seemingly still living in there, right? From Eddie Murphy's perspective, why is everything so dusty? Why is everything so cobwebby?
Yeah, he does. That's what I'm saying, is that
The place is
I
not
think
lived in.
he does not question anything, and I think it's because he's blinded by the fact that he just wants to sell it.
Right.
Like, he does
doesn't-
not care.
He doesn't even question when they're at dinner with
Gracie?
Gracie and Ramsley. When Gracie's like, do you believe in ghosts? He's like, nah, yeah, ghosts. Ghosts are cool.
Yeah,
Like,
does
come
not
on,
care.
dude.
Yep.
Yeah. Poor Eddie. So oblivious. So as they move through the house, they that's right, it's raining.
We need to pause for a second, because in that first scene, I totally, and I remember from watching it last time, not as a kid, but I think I watched it a couple years ago, that I got the impression right off the bat that Ramsley was like racist.
Oh, okay.
But then I realized, like, how could he be racist if he's all about Sarah and not about
Right.
about
Not about Eddie.
Eddie?
Yeah. But I mean, he could be racist because, like, that's the thing about the whole the frame story in the background is that, like, so originally they all died in like the 1800s or whatever. I have to assume around the Civil War, maybe after or before, something like that.
Yeah,
but
generally,
the whole conceit of the movie is that Gracie was in love with Elizabeth, and Elizabeth was black, and so like their love was like forbidden.
It wasn't a good match, is what he says. Like, it wasn't a acceptable
match.
Exactly. And so, like, Ramsley, as the villain, he very well could have been racist, and that's why their love wasn't a match, and that's why he didn't want them to be together in the first place.
For what reason did he not want them? And I got that impression.
Yeah, they never, like, super say it, you know?
That was the impression I got, though, from the beginning of the movie. Not even... But then I was like, hold on, but he can't be racist against one another. Maybe it is just because he's stupid. I don't know. But I kind of kept getting that feel, and that would make sense as to why the end of the movie shows what the end of the movie shows, I guess.
Right.
I don't know. Did you guys get that feeling, or was it just me?
Kind of.
I didn't get too much of.
I was just
that.
like confused. Like, why wasn't she a good match? They never say.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so, okay, hang on. Let me.
Sorry, I know I jumped ahead.
No. It's okay because I'm trying to figure something else out too. So, like, okay, Ramsley does not want Gracie to be with Sarah or Elizabeth or anybody really, right?
Mm-hmm.
He like wants what does he want? He wants.
That's why I was confused. Like, if it's not a racist thing, or if it's not a race thing, then why can't he go and be with someone else?
What's the problem?
Like, because he loses his job? Like,
I guess,
you're not a butler anymore?
But I mean, wouldn't that lift the curse on the whole house and they'd all get to go to heaven or whatever?
Well, originally, what would have been the problem?
Yeah, I don't know. And so, like, why make the call in the first place? Like, why even get them to come?
Right, now he wants them there.
Yeah.
Because he thinks her marrying him is going to set them free.
Because he's done being cursed?
He doesn't want to be cursed anymore. Maybe. I don't know. It's kind of a very vague storyline.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's confusing because he wants Sarah there for Gracie, I assume, and he doesn't want the rest of them there. So the plan is to scare them out of the house, I guess, even though they trapped them there. It's a lot of conflicting things going on.
Yeah, because they
in my
trap
mind.
them seemingly with their
they say
undead magic.
It's raining. The roads are flooded. You guys can't leave. You have to stay the night in this creepy, spooky house.
So we're gonna keep her.
I think he was just going to kill them off.
Well, sure. I mean that makes
proxy.
That makes sense.
She stays because they all stay, or they all stay because she has to stay.
By ghost standards, I suppose. But I mean, okay, yeah, that makes sense then.
It's a stretch. All of it is, right? Like,
sure. Yeah. Some plotting could have been better in this. So they say the night.
Well, I think that the problem is that, and I think that's why Ramsley gets so frustrated, is that his plan was not to trap her there. It was just to get her to marry him. Like, and now they had to go through all these extra like steps because she brought all these other people. Mm. So now he's like, well, my plans are ruined. Like, I don't have time to extra plot.
But how was he going to convince her before just to marry him? Was he just going to force her?
I think that they were under the impression that, like, once he saw her or she saw him, she would remember. But do they not understand how time works and how, like, Sarah is, like, dead, and so how would she have a descendant?
She came back, like reincarnated.
She
or something.
Reincarnated would now remember Master Gracie.
It's kind of like I said, it's all a stretch
through the reincarnation.
I would have, you know what I would have really liked? They do tell later that Madame Leota, which we will talk about, had prophesized her return. So that's part of it.
Okay.
She did. They did say that. Sure. But it would have been cool if they had said, like, the prophet, like Madame Leota's prophecy is that, like, Elizabeth had been reincarnated and then would return.
Yeah.
Because then in your mind you'd be like, oh, well, then they're totally convinced.
Yeah, but prophecies are vague too. That's the point, right?
Yeah.
Well, sure.
Prophecy.
But they could have at least said the prophecy to us at the audience.
Yeah, that would have been nice
to convey that, because it is confusing as to why they want her there if she couldn't possibly be this Elizabeth person because Elizabeth died, and why
and didn't have a kid,
right? And
like, had she had a kid, then that would have been like, okay, she's a great great granddaughter. Exactly. She has her same blood or something.
Yeah.
No, this is not Elizabeth.
So if Elizabeth
At
was
all.
prophesied to return, why wouldn't she just be a ghost like the rest of you? Why would she be a living person? That doesn't make
Oh yeah,
any
wouldn't she
sense.
have just been a ghost,
Right?
like chilling?
Yeah, and why wasn't she just a ghost chilling? But then,
She-
then the blue ball of light appears.
Is the ghost.
Yeah.
But why isn't she a?
Why is she a regular ghost?
They say at the end that she couldn't be revealed until
Until the
the
truth
true
was
nature
revealed,
of her death was discovered.
conveyed. Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. It's all a stretch, like I said.
Yeah, it's a lot of stretching going on, and I wonder why that is. Like, why not? Like, why have all these weird loopholes to pull this story together
They just written it differently.
when none of this was part of like the ride? Like, this wasn't the woman who had like murdered all her husbands from the
Well,
ride.
and that's
or
what I
anything
thought
like
too.
that.
I was like, are they going to make her the one that like murdered all her husbands? But they didn't even bring that up at all.
Yeah.
The only even moment of constance that you get in the movie is when you see like the bride's dress
Yeah.
and you hear a beating heart. But
That's
that's,
it.
the
That's
only that's the only like idea of constance that
They
you
didn't
even
pull
get.
that storyline in, which I mean, I suppose that makes sense that you didn't want to explore that particular patricide.
Andre was like, where was Hatbox Ghost? And I was like, not in the movie.
yeah,
he came way
He
later.
wasn't there either.
I would have appreciated Master Gracie losing his mind because there was a ghost trying to re-kill him.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
like super obsessed with him, like, marry me, but I'm also going to kill you.
Yeah.
Like, that would have been funny. But I understand that that's another issue.
Sure. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So, okay. So,
So funnies happen along the way. You have, like
yes.
Ramsley most definitely trying to get rid of Jim, like taking him throughout the house saying that Master Gracie
Going
wants to
through
talk to him.
secret doorways.
Yeah.
and-
He told him
Secret
like
door.
he needs to get a tan. He's like, Ramsey, you ever thought about getting a tan? You ever thought? I know some people in the city have been getting you a nice tan.
Tip the head. Tip the head.
when Eddie Murphy is in the room, like after Ramsley has like left him to go get the master or whatever, Eddie Murphy's just pulling stuff off the desk and putting it in his pockets.
He's
just
straight
like-
up stealing.
just
Like
stealing.
he says, stogies.
He's like, ooh, a stogie. And then he puts that in his pocket, and then he finds like a pen or something like that.
like matches and
Yeah.
pens and stuff. He's like, oh, this has been nice.
Like, why? Sir?
Like, wow, you just went from
You know,
like kind of mini shyster to like a full shyster.
Well, the
Like,
thing
what
that
is
bugs
happening?
me about him the most is like when him and Sarah are fighting, like they get sent to their rooms, right? And Sarah's like, "This is stupid. We're supposed to not be here. Let's just leave." And he's like, "No, it's okay. You know, we're gonna stay here." And she goes in the bathroom, and he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, honey. I'm sorry." And immediately Ramsley takes him away, and he's like, "Okay, bye, honey. I'm gonna
Right,
go
I'm
talk
gonna
to the
go talk to
master."
Master with Ramsley.
Doesn't even care.
Yeah, like you should have been like, "Can you just hold on a second? I'll bring my wife." Like,
Yeah.
well, I mean, aren't they business partners? Like,
Right,
They ain't
yeah.
business partners. He's his own partner.
No, for
very,
sure.
very much so.
Yeah, but you're right. They send like Eddie Murphy and the kids on like a little
Right.
maze throughout
so
the mansion.
Jim goes through the sliding bookshelf, gets lost,
Mm-hmm.
and then the ghost ball appears to the kids. Michael's like, "Oh heck no, I'm not getting a part of that."
Right.
But it only appears after the music box is opened.
Right.
Yeah, which we're assuming is probably Elizabeth's.
Right.
Yes.
So that
her
opens
spirit
up.
is tied to that item. And then-
Her spirit appears to them and and tries to lead them to find out the truth. I think.
like a will o' the
Yes.
wisps.
Because
from
she
Brave.
needs
Exactly.
to be discovered. So they take her to the attic where there is a picture of what they think is their mother because they're the same person.
Which would have
right?
been very creepy. Can you imagine
Right.
being a kid and being like, "This super old painting is of mom."
Right. Why is this big old picture of my mom in this house that we've never been to before?
Creepy.
Yeah,
Super creepy.
Quite scary.
Jim then ends up in the hallway from the ride, which was
Yes.
which
Yeah.
was one of the better ride tie-ins, I
Yes.
thought.
Yeah.
So he is stuck in some kind of back alleyway. He comes through a painting, and then what he's looking at is the hallway that you emerge from the elevator in.
Yes.
So he's walking down the hallway toward the bus
And he
that
takes-
follow
he
you.
takes the candelabra.
You see the paintings on the
Yes.
side of the wall. They're all changing as he passes
Yes.
them, which
Yes.
is cool.
Which he doesn't notice, which is again,
Yeah.
he is so
oblivious.
I liked all
Oblivious.
that. Like that was cool.
right.
you
Those
know?
elements were very nice.
Mm-hmm.
He then turns the corner where those statues are following him, and he runs into the door that ebbs and flows.
It's everything flowing. He's like, oh, those must be termites. Some big ass termites.
The thing that's weird is like he really isn't that afraid of it. Like he just goes for the door. I would be like, no.
Right, that's the thing that was kind of like bothering me.
I would have been
he should have been
losing
more scared.
my mind.
And it would have been funnier.
He
and
wasn't scared
a
of
little bit
anything, really.
Scarier, you know?
Well, and no one's that oblivious.
Right.
Like, that was pretty scary. Like, this door is moving, and you are literally stuck in a hallway. Like, think about it. He came down a hallway that came out of a painting.
Yeah, he
like,
can't get back. He can't go forward except through this scary door that's moving.
And I will tell you, at this moment in the movie, reminded me of this game that I played on the Xbox. Luis, what was it called? Layers of Fear. It was called Layers of Fear.
Okay.
And so, like, you were like this detective, and you had been called to the house legitimately, Haunted Mansion style.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you walked in, and every time you, like, walked through a door or something, the whole scene changed, and then you were, like, finding out how the person got murdered or
Okay.
whatever. So it totally reminded me of this, but, like, on a less scary, like, side.
Sure.
And so I kind of felt like, okay, so they're trying to keep it Disney. Like, they're trying to keep it, like, chill. But then later in the movie, I feel like they go, like, full-on horror.
Right, they throw
And then they
zombies
bring
and spiders
it,
at
and then
us.
they bring it back totally Disney again. Like pick something.
Yeah.
Like, are we all scared or are we all chilling? Because if we're all chilling, then we can all chill.
Right.
But like, we can't. I don't want to go back and forth between being like actually afraid or scared or
Yeah.
nervous, and then being like,
Yeah.
hitchhiking
It's a
ghosts.
lot.
I don't know.
Yeah, so that balance wasn't quite that great. So
he walks through that door, and this was kind of scary. And there's like a ringing phone. Remember?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it's
I
like
didn't
a
like that.
super
Ew.
dark room, and he answers the phone, and he's like, hello? And it was Ramsley on the other side. He doesn't know that, but you see Ramsley
Right.
then like it almost
Like, hang
is-
up the phone,
He
yeah.
hangs up the phone, and it's almost like, okay, you trapped. We know you're in a trapped space now.
right,
You
yeah,
stuck.
You're done.
And he then goes on a wild goose chase and finds Madame Leota. That's literally what happens.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically, right? There's not much.
Well,
else
he like
that's going
sees
on.
himself in the mirror, and then he like turns into like a scary zombie thing, and he's like,
yeah.
"Oh, that was
so
scary."
that scares him for a second,
And
then
he wasn't even that scared. He was kind of like, "Ugh."
right.
Okay, my eyes are playing tricks on me.
Yeah.
It was that food. What?
Yeah, and then
No
even-
one,
Right, it was
no
the
one
food.
says it was the food. Who says that?
No.
That's ridiculous.
So then he goes into another room. He finds Madame Leota. He's like, "I hear you, but I don't see you." And then he sees her. And, you know, the chair comes, and she's like, "Oh, I gotta do your fortune," or whatever. But he's still not even freaking out that much when she's, like, giving a whole prophecy thing, and the instruments are floating. He's floating
He
in
floats
there.
off the ground and spins around the room.
Which,
and he's just
and
kind
I
of
will
like,
say
"Oh, whoa,
now
hey, whoa,
that
I'm queasy, whoa."
absolutely hate their interpretation of Madame Leota. I don't like it at all.
It seemed pretty similar to the ride to me. What didn't you like about it?
I don't like when she speaks.
Oh, you don't like her voice?
Like, they tried to make her kind of funny a little bit.
Sure.
And I didn't like that.
So you didn't like Jennifer Tilly's
Jennifer
voice
Tilly.
because that's literally her voice.
Yeah,
No, I did not.
Okay.
yeah. I mean, that makes sense. But, I mean, it
She has a very unique voice, and so it's kind of like a
But even
Nanny
the way
Fine.
the
You like it or you
instruments
don't.
were chasing him, like, they made it seem more silly versus in the ride. Like, that seems, like, eerie and, like, ooh. Like, I, like, feel like there's spirits in that room. Like, you know, like, they kind of made it more silly, which I didn't
in the room with
necessarily
Madame
like.
Leota in the ride?
Yeah.
It's more scary than it is in the movie.
In the movie.
But he's most scared in that scene.
Right.
Like,
That's
he
the most
is
scared he
deathly
is in the
afraid
entire
of
movie.
these, like, drums. Like, dude, whack it.
Right.
Yeah.
Speaking of whacking
Can't
it,
whack it.
like, you weren't afraid of that
He didn't
door.
have a Sports Illustrated magazine to whack it with.
I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like Madame Leota in this movie.
Okay.
You do?
I mean, I didn't like her particularly, but she seemed like just like a slightly sillier version than on the ride. Like that scene in the ride has never been scary to me. I never feel like there's spirits in that room. Like, it always,
I love that scene.
It
though.
always just seems like, I don't know. Like, I don't know about the history of that ride too much, so I'm not really sure what's going on when we get to that point. Like, she's telling our fortunes. She's got cards everywhere. They're
She's
flipping.
awakening the spirits, and that's when we see all of the spirits throughout the ride. After
Sure.
is what she's doing.
Yeah,
Okay.
because we haven't seen any ghosts.
At that point.
Up until that point.
her.
Wait,
Okay.
she-
Awaken the spirits with your She's just
With your
awakening the spirits, and then we
tambourine.
see
Okay.
the ghosts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes
So
sense.
you like know they're there because you hear things, you see things happening, but you haven't quite.
But it also
Felt
might
it
be
yet.
like the Leota voice is so stuck in my head
Yeah.
that I'm like, ugh,
Right,
that's
yeah,
not
okay.
Madame
Yeah.
Leota.
That makes sense.
Which
Okay.
is, am I wrong in saying that No. I'm wrong. Move along.
Okay. So from there, Eddie Murphy they get down, and then he picks up Madame Leota and takes them with them, or is that later? I think everybody shows up.
They go back to her, which is really weird. He leaves. He ends up like
He finds his kids.
He ends up with the kids, and then they all end up going back to Madame Leota, which I thought was really
Right.
weird.
Yeah.
Which is extra weird because the first time he sees her, she's very cryptic in a Madame Leota way.
Yeah.
The second time, she straight up tells him everything he needs to know.
Yeah, exactly.
There is a key. You need the key. You need to go under the tree.
It's in the crypt.
Yeah. Like, oh, well, then why didn't you
Get
just
the
freaking tell me
key.
that in the first
Right,
place?
in the first place. So the kids, meanwhile, they're up in the attic. They're seeing the picture of their mom, and then they meet the two ghosts.
The maid and the
servants.
other butler.
Yeah, the maid and the lesser butler.
the lesser butler.
What are
The
their what are their
inconceivable.
names? Emma and
Inconceivable.
what's the other guy's name? Ezra. Emma and Ezra. Yeah.
Isn't that what he
Wallace,
says in?
Wallace Shawn. Yeah.
Isn't-
Inconceivable.
Isn't that what he says in The Princess Bride?
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Which is why he says it here.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was like, okay, nod to other movies. They actually do that multiple times. Did you notice? They like,
I think they did
like
it again,
Michael
right?
said, "Dad, I see dead people." Like they did that a
Yeah,
couple
that's
of
right,
times.
yeah.
So I was like, all right.
Well, and
Okay.
then I didn't like that Ezra said, "Well, there's always my way," in like a silly thing. I was like, "No, that's supposed to sound
no, it's,
spooky."
yeah, it's supposed to be scary.
Right,
like
yeah.
like you got to die to do it.
Yeah. I think that might be another reason why people didn't like this as much as Pirates, because like Pirates, it takes itself very seriously, right? Like
Very much so.
there's definitely humor and silliness in that movie, but for the most part, the story itself
Is serious.
Is very serious. This is a curse. It's going down. There's scary pirates. They're coming to kill us. We're in trouble. But this movie, it really portrays the Haunted Mansion as kind of like a joke, whereas the ride is much more scary than this movie is.
Agreed.
Like I kind of wish they had taken itself more seriously and then let Eddie Murphy be silly or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it would have been
I agree. I think
better.
if they had been more scared the whole time, that it would have been scarier overall.
right. Yeah. Like let me feel. The
I don't get
fear
any scary
that
vibes from this movie.
We're supposed to feel.
Oh, see,
from
I
this
feel
house.
one scary vibe, and we're getting to it.
Yeah, because you don't like zombies.
Well-
Zombies? That's the scary part to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
It
it's
is.
because of the way it was well done.
Mhm.
It
Like they
was.
did it well.
Sure.
So Ezra says there's always my way. They break out of that side of the house inside of a carriage. So what you telling me that there was a full ghost
Full
carriage
with a ghost horse.
with a ghost horse inside?
Because it's supposed to be the carriage in front of the house.
No, I get it.
Right.
But you're telling me that all of that was inside of the house and then
Yeah,
they broke
I don't
out of
get
the
that.
house?
Bust
Like
out.
they could have been like outside like
Well,
and broke out
it
of the
was in
garage.
it was
Right,
in
yeah.
the sunroom.
or
I
a
think.
stable or something like
No,
that.
it came out of a brick wall.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
it did.
center of a brick wall. Like,
Like why?
get out of here. It's just some of the things that just didn't make sense.
Right.
Yeah.
So then they start going into the graveyard, which was actually a very cool scene.
Yeah, I liked
Yeah, we
it.
get the whole grim grinning ghost scene from the ride, basically, where all the ghosts are hanging out,
And
socializing.
yes, and then you get a lot of the ones from the drawing room too, from the not drawing room, from
Right. The
Dining
dining
room.
room
Yes.
where they're like dancing,
like where they
and stuff
shoot
like
each
that.
other, the
Yes.
ones that are on,
Yeah, and you get the hitchhiking ghosts and
which
all
were
that.
my least favorite.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
The hitchhiking ghosts were my least favorite ghosts in the whole thing.
They show up in the carriage and have a very awkward scene with the kids, and Eddie Murphy is like, "Does he see us? I could have swore he saw us." But Eddie Murphy was talking directly to them, saying, "I see you."
It was weird.
It was just odd.
But the other ones looked like ghosts, and those three looked like
Yeah.
cartoony ghosts.
Yeah,
right?
they
Like,
Yeah.
just
Like-
leave the other ones
Like
looking like
Casper,
ghosts.
the friendly ghost.
Like, what is this?
Yeah.
So then they get out of the carriage. They find the crypt.
Mhm.
The daughter is so much smarter than Eddie Murphy, which makes it kind of annoying. Like, I
Right.
know that Disney kid movies make parents stupid
Right,
and the
make
kids
the kids
smart,
smart.
but
Wait, you're skipping. They asked some people for directions before they find
Oh.
the crypt.
Oh,
You're
that's
right.
right.
You're right,
I did
they
like
do.
this, where they find the statues that are singing,
Yes.
and they just won't stop singing. They just keep,
Which is funny.
They keep barbershop quartetting different songs based off of what
I thought
they're
it was
saying.
silly. I actually liked that. I
every
couldn't-
time they
yeah,
said
yeah.
something was like,
into another song.
it's
Yes.
supposed to be by the light.
Yeah.
Silvery Moon.
And I thought that that particular effect didn't look quite as bad as some
No.
of the other
No, no,
effects
no.
in the movie.
But am
too.
I wrong in saying that there's a bust with a broken head on the side and there was not a broken
Yeah,
head?
they
I
only
don't
did
know why
4
they-
instead
I don't
of
know why they didn't
5.
Well,
do that
what the
one.
hell? Just do all 5.
Right, yeah.
You've already put all these crappy
So-
effects. You might as well just put one
We only
more.
got $90 million and $89 million has gone to
It's
Eddie
a
Murphy. We
lot.
can't afford another bust.
I was annoyed a little bit.
Yes.
Like,
But then they find the crypt.
find the crypt.
Find the crypt.
Go inside.
There's Latin. No, this was annoying to me. There's Latin on the outside, and then he's like, "Well, no, it says the Latin." And then the kid is
Megan
like,
is like, Dad, I took 3 years of Latin. I'm 12 years old.
and I literally thought to myself, "Yeah, I took 3 years of Spanish, but I ain't reading no like secret prophecy in Spanish. Like,
Yeah.
shut
Right,
up,
yeah.
kid. You don't know what that says. You're dumb. Especially like, why would she know words about like death and you don't know those
Yeah,
words?
it's
Well, maybe
wild.
Latin is real dramatic. I
I
don't
guess she became fluent in
Still.
Latin
Still.
know. In
at a young
prophecies.
age. So
Oh, go ahead.
Eddie leaves his kids outside of the crypt and goes down by himself.
I guess it's a crappy sitch because, like, what are you going to do? Are you going to take them in with you? You're going to leave them outside.
Sure.
I get
I mean-
it. It's bad either way.
I feel like I'd want to keep my kids with me and keep them in sight, especially if I'm leaving them in a graveyard that is completely jam-packed full of ghosts.
I know. I agree with you too, but I feel like Michael's going to make a problem if he goes down
Well,
there.
yeah, that's true. Michael has been quite scaredy catty the entire time. So Eddie's going down there by himself at one point because there's like cobwebs and Michael's too scared to come down, and then Megan comes down
Yeah.
with him.
Because he doesn't know what he's supposed to be looking for because he's a dip.
Right.
Like, he doesn't know. And so she comes down and she's like, "You're supposed to look for the black crypt with no name."
Yeah.
But here's my question. Who's black crypt with no name? I want to know who that is.
Oh.
I kind of want to think it's Ramsley's.
Oh, yeah, that'd be cool.
Wouldn't that be cool if it was Ramsley?
Right, and
because that's why he would have the key.
Yes, he would have the key, and that's why his body would be like fighting so hard to get it back to keep them from their goal. Or
Yeah,
or
and
what
he's
have
the
you.
only one who knows the secret.
Yeah, right. Yeah, to the chest with the letter. in
Right?
it. Yeah.
So that would be cool, but like literally, it could have just had. I mean, I guess it's with no name, but if he was wearing something that was Ramsley,
right. It was the same outfit that he's wearing
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah, now that you're saying it, like, I'm assuming it's Ramsley, but I know it's just supposed to be like the black crypt from the ride. But
But like,
but I
wouldn't
mean,
that be-
even still, it could have been the same.
that would have been
character
super
inside.
cool.
That
That
would
would've
have
been cool.
Yeah.
Because why else does it matter? Like,
Yeah.
why would this guy have
Or
a key?
it could have spoken like one or two words in Ramsley's voice or something like that too.
Yeah, it could have just been like,
I'm Terrence Stamp.
it could have been like, you will never get this key.
yeah.
I don't know.
a little something.
Well, the next part is the worst part because he drops the dang key in that nasty dead water, and he has his daughter go
yeah,
get
why
the
is
water
she going to get the key?
in the dead water. That is the most disgusting thing. The more I think
He's
about
not
it, the
a great
more
dad.
it makes me want to puke.
Because it's just dead bodies in this water. Just so dead bodies, living bacteria. Lots of bacteria in the water. I have to
nasty.
assume.
And let's back it up. We need to back it up truthfully here. You know they're in Louisiana.
yeah.
And the cool thing about this crypt is that it is truthful to how crypts and graves are in Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
If you dig under the soil in Louisiana, it fills with water because of where it's at in
And,
sea
like,
level.
elevation
Yeah.
level. Yeah.
Okay? So a lot of times they don't continue to dig down. They will just re-dig into graves and throw the rest of your family members like
Right
in.
on top.
It's just real fun, okay?
Yeah.
Gross.
So, in the crypts, that happens a lot. The backwater starts coming in because it doesn't have anywhere to go. It
Right.
finds its holes, you know how water does through soil and stuff, and it will start to backlog all this water. So that's just not those dead people. That's all the dead people
Right.
in there.
Everybody.
And then, do you remember what happened when I went to Louisiana?
yeah, there was a bacteria in the water.
There was bacteria in the water, and we were
Oh,
told
that's
A
100%
right.
brain-eating amoeba.
brain-eating amoeba. They told us we couldn't take showers. We couldn't drink the water. We couldn't brush our teeth. We couldn't wash our hands. Don't do any of those things in the middle of July.
Right.
Anywho,
Anyway.
Point being,
Don't live in Louisiana.
not so much that, but point being,
That's gross.
you want to talk about bacteria in that water? That poor girl just got, like, once I watched it this time, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
she gonna die. It was awful.
No, she probably would have, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, yeah, she should have come up.
And then,
as a
you know what's
zombie.
even worse is
Out
that
of the
she
water.
goes under the water and opens her eyes under the water. Ugh!
Yeah.
Ooh.
Ah,
I would have been really happy if she had been like a Mary Poppins type and like pulled goggles out. I would have been like, okay, girl, good for you. Pull them out.
Yeah, that would have been funny. I was planning on swimming at the lake, so I have these goggles in my pocket.
Right?
Ta-da.
Good thing I brought these goggles.
That would have
Anything,
been really
please.
nice. So anywho, she gets the key that has fallen through, and I feel like this is the scariest part of the movie because it's done really well. Like the zombies come out, they're pretty scary.
Yeah.
They're well done. The makeup is good. And then they chase them out of the crypt. Spiders covered the door.
Yes.
Yeah, that was gross.
So
That was gross.
So after they went in, was the door open or had they closed the door
It
behind
closed.
them?
It
closed
closes
by
when they
itself.
run. It closes when they're trying to get out.
Okay, so it closes by itself when they're trying to run out. It locks itself, right?
And I
Yes.
guess its defense mechanism is a bunch of tarantulas.
Like a bunch of tarantulas.
Which is helpful because Michael doesn't know how to whack it.
Yeah, he can't whack them spideys, and nor can he open the door. So there's a bit of tension there. And then,
Which I won't lie, I'd be real tensiony too.
Oh,
I
yeah.
would not want to touch that.
My dad and sister are dead. Sorry. I am not touching this
What
door.
if I was in there?
Or taking off my shirt, wrapped my hand in it, swatted the spiders.
There you go.
Got it open.
That's good.
All right.
See, he
Good to
doesn't
know.
think that. He doesn't think through that much for his dad and sister. Before he used his brain for you.
Sorry, Dad. Sorry, Monty.
Good job using your brain.
I will tell Imani all about this at the wedding.
No.
I would have opened it because yes, the spiders were moving really, really fast, like in this movie. But like if that was real life, those spiders probably wouldn't be moving that fast.
Let's not talk about it. Okay.
They wouldn't be on top of his head and on his body like how they were so quickly.
Ugh.
Yeah, not sure why they all wanted to be there. So they get out of the crypt. Michael opens the door, right? Michael opens the door?
Yes.
Or did they find a way out?
No, he opens
He
it.
opens the door, then they go back to Madame Leota and they're like, hey, I got the key. And she's like, great, now you have to find a box. And he's like, what?
Which is annoying that he can so easily get in and out of the house, like with
Right.
these ghosts, I guess.
And also, you know what's funny?
I don't know.
Almost the entire time that Eddie Murphy and his kids are like in danger, running through the house, evading all these ghosts, they kind of like never think about their mom or Sarah like at all. There's no mention of like, where is she? Shouldn't we find her? Let's get back to Sarah. Well, shouldn't we get out of this place? But no, it's just like
yeah, meanwhile, Sarah's just walking around with Mr. Gracie.
yeah. So she's having
about to get married. I
intimate
guess.
conversations with him. He's fawning over her, and she's just like, "Oh well, this is fine. Just a nice man talking to me, I guess."
The sad part
No
about
idea
all
where
of
my
it is,
family
though, is that he's not really creepy.
Sure,
like,
no, he's fine.
Oh,
Like, I mean,
he's
in
not.
context, it's kind of creepy, but he's just a nice guy who is in love,
Yeah.
who is trying desperately to hope that this is his long lost love.
You remind me of a girl
Exactly.
that I once knew.
He
So-
literally sees her face every time he looks at her, so it's really unfortunate for him.
So we find out, they get the key, they go to the box, they open the box, they find the thing that is red, like Madame Leota says, and it's the actual letter that
Elizabeth
wrote to Gracie.
Stating that she did not kill herself.
I love you.
I love
I
you.
will marry you. Let's do it. Boom.
Bada
Yeah,
bing, bada
basically.
boom.
So then they're like, wait, what? Then what's
So
the
if
real
she didn't kill
story?
herself,
And then
how did she
Ramsley
die?
appears and is like, I didn't. Who done it?
It was
Ramsley.
me.
Who done it? I done it.
And then he proceeds to attempt to stop them.
Yeah, he locks the
From-
kids in a box and then he banishes Eddie Murphy
outside.
out
Oh,
the
yeah.
window, and then
He-
he locks all the house is obviously he has a lot of power in the house, so he can't get back in.
He smart
Right.
houses them.
Yes. So
Yeah.
Eddie Murphy falls out onto their nice BMW. The BMW is very nice because it doesn't dent even a little bit when Eddie Murphy slams into it with his back. And then Eddie Murphy's trying to get into the house, and he's like trying to break the window. The window keeps healing itself. That looked pretty good.
That was cool.
That was cool. I like that. And then Eddie Murphy finally decides to destroy this property that he's planning on selling by driving through
No,
it.
no. Pause.
Did I miss something?
Madame Leota rolls out.
The house, because she got out even though everything was locked.
Yeah.
She just rolls up to him and
Just
she's like,
rolls out.
"What, are you going to sit there feeling sorry for yourself?
Oh yeah, that's right. 'cause he
Try
gave up.
another way." So then he goes in. But like, how'd she just roll out?
Where did you come from? What kind of little hidey holes you
I
got?
don't know where the heck she came from.
But he like straps her into the
She's
seat.
like a hamster.
It's so funny. Well,
She is
because
like a
I feel like
hamster.
she has no control over her ball until that
Right.
moment.
Yeah.
Like now, all of a sudden, you can roll. Ew, that makes me feel very uncomfortable. That you have a very, very small body in there. It's like a huge head and a little body.
tiny little feet running around with the ball
That is
under
so
her hair.
gross.
Tell me about it. That's what I'm imagining.
No.
Yes, that's canon now.
No.
I'm coming.
I'm gonna smack you.
You know, we're going to Disneyland, and I'm gonna be like thinking about her in the ball, like.
Roll out on out of here.
You know what it reminds me of? You know, we did the roast con raya or whatever, where you got the little baby Jesus in the cake. Like that's the size of her body
yeah.
with a big old head.
No, it's reminding me of a thing that you hate in Deadpool 2.
Oh no, the little legs.
Oh yeah, baby legs.
The little legs. Ay, caramba.
Okay, so she rolls out. She convinces
Roll
Eddie Murphy
out.
to save his family, even though he had given up on that
He
completely.
gets in. Sarah's gonna marry Gracie because Ramsley's like, I have your kids and I'll kill them if you don't. Well, that's
Right.
rough.
So, I mean,
So of course she's like, okay.
sure, I guess.
I mean, you can't
I'll-
really say no to that, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, what does it even hurt Sarah? I mean, really, because like number one, he's dead. Number two, she's already married. It's not like this is a legal marriage.
Number 3, he also poisons her, which I don't understand why he's trying to poison her.
Because she has to be
She has
dead.
to die for him. To
Everyone
marry
else is
her.
dead. So
So
for them,
okay. But then at this point, does he really think it's gonna work? He knows it's not her, Elizabeth.
he keeps. I think that he's getting like brainwashed into believing it's Elizabeth
Right.
at this point, because like when she's walking down the aisle, she's like crying, and like Gracie looks at like Ramsley, kind of like
Man, should we be doing this?
and then he's like, tears of joy.
That's right.
It's like, okay, you're right.
Okay,
Tears
yeah.
of joy sounds
Crazy.
I've
good.
seen Tears of Joy before. That's not what this looks like at all. But sure, Tears of
This
Joy.
looks a little date rapey, but I'm not really sure.
It's literally so creepy.
Oh god.
So basically, she drinks the chalice that is poisoned, and then Eddie Murphy shows up and is like, "That's my wife." Literally, he says that a million times. That's my wife.
Right.
Well, why you start acting like it and stop saying it, bro?
Yeah.
God, he's the worst. Do not act like this when you get married,
Oh,
Andre.
okay.
This is a how you don't act.
That's my wife. 20 minutes tops.
I hate him.
Oh my gosh.
So Eddie tells what actually happened,
The
you know,
truth.
and then it's so funny because now Ramsley's like found out, and he's like, something raise hell.
Right. I'm sending
He, like,
you to hell.
He like turns into a devil. The floor opens up, and apparently everyone's going to hell. But then the hell beast takes him instead. It was
Yeah,
weird.
Because he evil.
they push Ramsley into the hellhole, and then
Well, they don't really push him in. The thing comes out.
No,
and
it comes
takes
out
it.
and
it
gets
takes him. That's right. And,
Serpenty.
yeah, and then it just closes up. It only needed
You know the
one.
best part about that is that it totally reminded me of like Gandalf falling in the first Lord of the
You
Rings.
shall not pass.
You know, you shall, and then he just falls for days. That's what it
Yeah.
reminded me of.
Yeah, so Ramsley went to hell, and then because Elizabeth's true nature
Because
of her
the truth
death has
came
been
out.
revealed, she like put her spirit ball into Sarah, and then so
Oh,
to me at this
God.
point,
Brings her memory to
Sarah's
life.
dead, right? Because she drank poison,
Truth.
Oh, okay. Sure. Let's go with that. And then
and then Elizabeth put her soul into her body and was like raising with her arms out, and she was like, "It is I, Elizabeth."
And she looked like, I don't like it when they make it look like Jesus. Like, stop. Sure, arms don't have to be out to the side like
Yeah.
that.
They
Like,
were though, and I was like,
Jesus.
"Okay."
and then
Stop.
she does like a full on make out with Gracie.
Yeah, and then Eddie Murphy's like, "That's my wife."
He's like,
Again.
that's my wife. That's my wife, man.
that was kind of a funny interaction
out
because
this
he like
life.
looks at the kids and he has this like super awkward grin, like he's trying not to be upset about it. And he looks at the kids and then the kids
And
are like,
"Ew."
ew. And he's like looking back and he's like,
So Elizabeth and Ramsley and the other two, they all Gracie, sorry. They all go to heaven, and then Sarah's fine. And he gives them the deed to the mansion.
like, that's what we need at this point. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Hey.
Yeah, and Eddie
We got
Murphy
a
was so
mansion.
stoked about it. He
He's
was
like,
yeah.
sell it, keep it, do
Do
whatever,
whatever.
make sure happy family happy. And you're like, well, pretty sure I
Okay.
don't want to stay here one more second.
Never coming here
Pretty
again.
sure they're going to sell it.
Yeah.
And that's the end of the movie.
By the light, by the light, by the light.
That's
of
what
the
it's
silvery
Yeah, okay, and this
moon.
is what I don't get. So they're driving, right, away at the end. Where are they? Because that road goes on in water for miles and miles, and I don't see no land. So Andre said, did they die too?
Okay, hold on. So they took Madame Leota and the Singing Heads.
Uh-huh.
Have you ever seen Silent Hill?
I
No.
haven't. I think I played the video game a little bit.
Really?
but I
Luis
never
Luis made
watched
me
it.
watch it because he said it was the scariest movie ever.
Okay.
And
Quite scary. Okay.
Louis-
I've heard it.
he's scary.
I've heard it's
Anubis
scary.
head? Yeah, it's scary.
Oh yeah.
Oh, be quiet.
He doesn't want to talk about it.
You don't want to talk about it. Oh, Silent Hill. Okay.
Oh.
He's over there making faces at me. I'm like, I don't know shit. Anywho, it was scary, but at the end of the movie, you're like, spoiler alert, is she dead?
Right.
Like,
'cause,
no, girl, you made it out. No, you dead?
Right.
You dead?
Yeah,
Are
so
they
Andre was.
dead?
I was like, "Where are they driving to?" And he was like, "I think they're dead."
They drove
Driving
off into
to
the
heaven?
sunset.
Because they got a completely different car. This is a whole new car. It's not the BMW.
No,
that
it's a
crashed
freaking
into the house.
like a
It's SUV.
station wagon.
Yeah, something
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
why I was
I
like,
thought
"Are
they were
dead?"
going to the lake.
Yeah, but then why would that be going on for miles? And there ain't no land where they're driving.
No,
I've never
truth.
seen a
Yeah.
road like that in water.
Yeah, it was
It's like
really
a bridge
unfortunate.
across
And
the
it's like
Atlantic
on
Ocean.
top
It's like
of
the
the
Florida
water. It's not
Keys.
even like a tall
Yeah.
bridge over the water. It's like literally on top
Like
of
right
the
on
water.
If you know if this is a real place or not, please let us know.
In
the
Louisiana?
comments.
It's not a real
I don't-
place.
I don't know.
And
It was
then,
awful.
Yeah, so that's how it ended, which was crazy. And then there's like an after credit scene with Madame Leota's voice doing the whole Constance
Yeah.
Yeah.
saying at the end, which is kind of cool, but I get it.
Oh.
It was there.
And we're forgetting the most important part.
I don't wanna talk about
the
it.
Nelly rap that's at the end of the movie that doesn't have anything to do with the movie at all. Is
What?
you is or is you ain't?
What was the point of that? I don't understand. I know I'm yelling and your child is sleeping.
You want to know why this was really funny? Was because it was one of those things where like I was too lazy to turn it off, so I got up and went to the bathroom and was fixing my hair and stuff. And I heard the song, and I'm like, "That's Nelly." And then I was like, "That can't possibly still be the movie. Like, what is that?" And then I walked in here, I was like, "It's a freaking credit song."
I
I thought
don't
the credit song
understand
was
at all.
like the Raven Simone Superstition song.
Very superstitious.
That's right. I remember that.
I swear to God, that's what it was. So when
Apparently
the,
not.
because I remember,
That was it was like a marketing thing.
yeah. Well, then what the hell was Nelly doing?
So I'm reading.
I don't understand.
I'm on the
it at
Wikipedia
all.
page for the
And Eddie
song
Murphy was like,
Is You.
"Listen,
No, but it just says that in the music video for the Is You song, it says similar to the film The Haunted Mansion, Nelly inherits a mansion from his recently deceased uncle and throws a house party. However, the guests soon start falling victim to the hauntings of the house. Nelly soon confronts the evil spirit causing it all, also played by him, and defeats it by throwing an enchanted orb he received from a zombie at it. The evil spirit is destroyed and all the ghosts of the mansion are free.
you would never know that unless you've seen the dang music video."
Right. So
I just assumed
and it's still the song. I don't think really has anything to do with
has nothing to do with that.
with ghosts or hauntings or mansions or any
I'm
other-
about to mic drop right now because it's so annoying. It's literally the worst credit song of my life.
it makes no sense.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
There you
So
go.
I mean,
so that movie happened.
That's the Haunted Mansion, and I mean it's
It's silly.
I'll tell you, I liked it more just watching it and not talking about it.
Yeah.
Because the more we just talked about it, the more
The
I
worse
want to
it
be
got.
like,
exactly.
wow.
We poked a lot of holes.
I said
in
for
it
my first impression
just
that
now.
it wasn't that bad. It was good, and now I'm like, nah, it was crap.
Right.
No, but if you just watch it with the idea that it's a Disney Halloween movie,
Right.
If you don't tear it apart, if
it's,
you know
it's good.
Sure,
It's fine.
It's fine.
And you're not thinking about all of these like plot holes, then it's fine. But as we tore it apart, like, damn.
Wow, it's like really really upsetting.
it was really upsetting.
Quite.
And Luis would like to make a special guest appearance, wouldn't he? He's watching The Walking Dead, y'all.
He
The
said that
Walking
was
Dead.
better zombies than was in this movie, so he wasn't even
I
going
mean,
to grace
He hates
this
this movie so much he
Not
couldn't
wrong.
say anything about it.
Yeah.
He didn't want to give a first impression.
He said no impressions. The only impression that you get is a battle impression.
Dun 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 ghost battle.
All lies. I was here the whole time, but I was working on Grady.
You were watching The Walking Dead, don't lie.
Front.
All right, for this week's battle, we are going to have a butler battle.
It's a butler battle.
All right,
Butler
so
battle.
Butler off.
if you had to choose between two options, one of which is dirt poor with a butler who is Alfred from Batman, or
All right.
lavishly rich with Ramsley as your butler?
Oh.
Who would you choose? Ready, go.
Okay.
Tell us about Alfred.
Alfred is the best. He's a father figure. He's a great butler. He's good at dusting. He's good at making food. He's the above all be all of butlers. Honestly, he's the pinnacle of butlers. He's top butler.
He's better than Jeeves.
Way better. Jeeves doesn't hold a candle to Alfred. I don't know much about Jeeves, but I assume.
He had his own search engine.
Whatever. Alfred designed the Batmobile. Anyway, so Alfred's great. He's really nice. He's caring. He's supportive, and he's most of all patient with Batman and all
but
of
I
his
have to be dirt
outlandish
poor.
ideas. So yes,
Dirt
So
poor.
even if I was dirt poor, which I'm not too far off of right now, and I had
I'm just poor. I'm
and I
not
had
dirt poor.
the support of my butler / best friend, I assume, Alfred.
He has to be your best friend because why would he stick around
Yeah,
if
why
you were
is
dirt
he?
poor?
Why is he here if I can't pay him?
I pay him in
And
love.
he's helping me out with anything that he possibly can, even though we don't have any money. That sounds pretty great to me.
Yeah, and I think he's smart enough that eventually we would get money.
Ramsley, on the other hand, even if I'm crazy rich, and I
Which
can
I
just,
feel like the Gracies were.
yeah,
no?
they probably were, because of how big the house is at the very least.
The amount of detail.
Yeah. Having Ramsley as a butler, I'm sure he's, competent at his job, but why does he keep trying to kill all my loved ones? Why is he trying to keep me from having the things that I want to have,
Yeah, it's
Alfred
rude.
would never stop Batman from being Batman. He tried.
He tried very hard.
He tried,
okay,
but,
all the time.
He wouldn't actually hurt anybody to do it, But Ramsley, he's got his own goals. He's got his own means. He doesn't have my best interest at heart, it seems.
He would have poisoned Michelle.
Right, yeah. Just because our love is forbidden.
me.
You do have a forbidden forbidden marriage.
At one
yeah.
time it was. Yeah. Not no mo.
It's okay, me and Lou too. So,
Yeah, so I mean,
bunch of forbidden love over here.
for me, it's easy. I'll be poor with Alfred any day.
Yeah, I'll be poor
Any
with
day of the
Alfred
week.
too.
Plus,
Ramsley's the worst.
Alfred's got a great British accent. I get to listen to that. While
Oh
we're
my
both
god,
crying
you
or
get to
whatever.
listen to that.
I don't know if I could listen to Ramsley all the time. Like, dude, you were talking way too slow. Like, please hurry it up.
else can I get you and your non-living wife, master?
He's almost as bad as the sloths in Zootopia. Like, hurry it up, dude. Oh my gosh. No, I
Yeah.
agree. Alfred was the best. And I think that Alfred truly cared for Batman in a non-creepy way.
Yeah.
I think that Ramsley thinks he cared for Master Gracie,
Right.
but he's secretly racist crazy. So
Right.
that isn't that
What are
to
you
me is
protecting him from?
Yeah.
You made him kill himself, dude. Like, what are you doing? You're not a good butler.
true.
And Andre Snowman says, "Ooh, he hanged himself."
Yikes.
Which is so not funny, but it's like, no, Ramsley, that's your fault. You
right.
did this.
You did this, man. And it wasn't even like to get all the money or anything like that.
I know,
Apparently,
like, it
he
would've
died
been
right
great.
after and hung around.
It would have been fantastic if he it would have been fantastic if it had been like in the father's will that like if everyone had gone, Ramsley was such a good butler
Right.
that he got it all.
Yeah.
Like, good, kill them all off.
So that
Like,
would have made sense, but
Right?
it didn't appear that way. If Ramsley
and then
was
like someone else killed him for that or something. That would have been fantastic.
just as cursed, I guess. Yeah.
So all three of us think that Alfred is better. So poor Ramsley can
What's
just
your
be
opinion?
out by himself.
Would you like to be lavishly rich with Ramsley as your butler?
No, he seems like a double-crossing little butler.
Yeah.
Little butler.
I shall not.
Conniving.
How do you feel about Alfred?
Alfred's awesome.
Alfred's dope.
He is the epitome of what a butler should be.
I didn't
Oh,
even list all the.
epitome.
I didn't even list all the skills that Alfred has. Okay, he was trained in the military.
Oh
He's
my
a,
God.
He's an actor.
We got Andre started.
He's really smart.
He's very smart.
Very smart.
He programs the back computer sometimes.
And he's 80-something knowing all these stuff about
Right.
computers. Like, I mean,
it's impressive.
He's in shape too.
Can you please? He's in shape.
I think so. He's pretty skinny.
Sometimes he's in shape.
Oh.
Can you please
I've only seen him in shape in the cartoon series, and he was a stick.
Can you please explain how you feel about Alfred in the last Christopher Nolan Batman
Oh,
movie,
yeah,
please?
That's right.
He was awesome. He was great.
Okay, this whole conversation is very different than what it was
So-
before we started the podcast. We had people crying over here.
When I
We had
watched
tears.
when I watched The Dark Knight Rises, which stars Michael Caine as Alfred, and spoiler alert, in that movie, Batman apparently dies, and Alfred has to. Alfred is like crying over Batman's grave, and he's. Can't even say it. And he's like blaming himself for the death of Batman. And when I was in the theater watching that movie, I was bawling like a big old baby because I was like, "No, Alfred, it's not your fault. It's not your fault, Alfred. You raised a great son, but he was crazy and he tried to be Batman all the time."
I wish you guys could see Andre's face right now.
And when I was in the theater, there was like a football team or something like that of like young kids or whatever who were taking a
How
field
old
trip.
were you? How old were you?
This
Stop.
movie came out in 2012, I believe. So
Yeah.
I was a grown up.
So you
I was
know,
an adult.
He was like 20 years
I was
old.
like in my 20s at least.
You were like 20.
Yeah. So I was crying and they were watching and they weren't impressed by my tears. They were tears of joy.
Andre looks over at them like, you obviously haven't seen all the movies. You don't understand the depth of this.
Andre
relationship.
takes his fandoms very seriously.
Yeah.
That's why I love him.
Thanks,
You're
Batman.
welcome.
Thanks, Alfred.
So there you go. We got a clean sweep for a Alfred.
Yep.
Butler battle.
Yeah.
Sick version of that, Michelle.
That was
Did it.
it.
Can we go on to rate? Oh no, we already did our rating. No, their
we did.
ratings. We did.
Right, we did the
this-
Rotten Tomatoes
but we
score.
didn't do money.
Made 13%. This movie, it made its money back. It had a
Wow.
$90 million budget,
That's good for them.
and it ended up grossing $182 million worldwide.
Okay, so they made some stuff.
So they made some money, but I think on the whole, this is considered a failure for a Disney film.
Oh,
like
for
most
sure.
most Disney movies, they want to make their money back, but they want to double, triple, quadruple their money. You know. when
Yeah,
they- when
no, I
they-
don't
when
think
they make
anyone
something.
with any idea would ever say that this movie was going to like.
No, blow minds.
Right, going to be a success.
So going into our ratings, I'm having a hard time because I think like as I watched it, I was like, oh, that was silly, that was cool, that was good. I think I was gonna get a 7, but we just literally hated on the movie so
Yeah, we
much,
tore
and
it
it
to
made
shreds.
me realize now why people probably don't like it.
Right.
Like
yeah.
it's kind of crappy. So
Well, and I think again, you have to remember people who love this ride with like a passion
Yeah.
are going to have said a lot of the things, if not more than what we said.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause
Yeah.
we didn't even make all of the similarities between the ride and such,
Right.
because there were a lot of nuances, but honestly they were either well done so that it was like subtle enough to not be annoying, which all of them should have been that way,
Right.
or it was so over the top that it didn't fit.
Yeah.
I kind of honestly like ignored most of that.
Yeah.
Like the hitchhiking ghost, I was like, that didn't happen.
I'll just give my rating now. I
Okay, go.
feel like if I watch this movie again, like if it was on TV or something, I might watch it, give it some
Put it on.
giggles.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to like ever take it seriously. Like
Right.
this isn't a take it the serious kind of movie. I would only ever watch it at Halloween time. I would not like just be like, oh, it's like spring. No. And
True.
I like that I watched it right before I go to Disney because because it gives you that nostalgia of the ride. But quality of the movie, 6.
Yeah.
It's not 13%, but
Right.
it's not good
Yeah.
by any.
By any stretch of the imagination.
I'm gonna give it a 6.
I'm going to agree with Emily. I'm going to give it a 6. It's a D. It's not Kronk's New Groove bad, but it's pretty
No,
bad.
Kronk's New Groove
I
is
love
still
how
worse.
we
Crocs
compare
New Groove
everything
is
to
our,
that
is our
now.
pure low. It's the lowest of the
The
low.
13%.
The Crocs New
Crocs New
Groove is
Groove
like a
gets a
1%.
13%.
I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
It's so stinging bad. Yeah, so I'm going to give it a 6. It's a good movie. It's silly. It is what it is. Am I going to be like, guys, let's go watch The Haunted Mansion? No.
I hope you don't ever sound like
Yeah.
that.
Let's go watch The Haunted Mansion.
Let's go do it.
I completely agree. I think that this is one of the worst movies that we've watched in a while. I think for the show, just in terms of its quality and stuff like that, and like
But for the time of year, I think it's fitting.
Yes. For Halloween, if you want to show like your young kids like a spooky movie, this is perfectly fine for them.
Yeah, because they might be like kind of spooked,
right?
But they're definitely going to have more fun with it than like adults are.
Than be terrified of it. And they'll enjoy it, and you can go eat candy or whatever you want to do.
No, your Halloween candy got I don't know.
A ghost took it.
Ramsley took your candy.
Locked it in a chest somewhere for next year.
You got to go find the keys.
So
the graveyard.
So yeah, I don't see myself watching this again anytime soon for any reason whatsoever. Like if I wanted to watch a kids movie featuring Eddie Murphy, I have like tons more options that are far better than this one, you know, like.
Well, do you like how I said, like, if it was on TV, I would watch it, and we haven't had TV in years, so there's literally no way that it could ever just be on TV and me watch it. Like, there's no way I could ever do that.
Yeah, we're not watching
I literally have not watched cable in years,
right,
so
yeah.
there's just no way.
So yeah, go watch Mulan instead, or Shrek, or Daddy Daycare, or something like that, you know.
Daddy Daycare, any day.
Go watch Dr. Dolittle before you watch The Haunted Mansion,
Sorry, I cannot do Dr. Dolittle. Moving along.
So yeah, I think I'm going to give it like a 5.5. I'm going to rate it a little bit lower.
Pretty low.
Just because thinking about it now, yeah, it's pretty bad. it's pretty awful. And I understand the critics reviews. So yeah, that's it for the Haunted Mansion. Go ride the ride. That's a good interpretation.
Ride the
of
ride.
this,
You know
of
what's
this story.
funny is that I keep saying I'm gonna go like ride this and stuff, but it's gonna be completely Nightmare Before Christmas
Which is
style.
my favorite version.
Ooh, which
I love it.
I
I
love-
wish it was like that year round. I'm not gonna lie.
I love both versions, so I can't say like I do like one more than the other. But it's not going to be in the version we're talking about, so don't even matter.
Yeah,
Oh, hey.
I
I'm
love
gonna be seeing
Nightmare
some
Before
Jack.
Christmas.
Hey, I have a fun fact. So in 2010 at the San Diego Comic-Con, it was announced that The Haunted Mansion was going to be remade by Guillermo del Toro, the director of what did he direct?
That
Pan's
Thing.
Labyrinth
Yeah.
And Hellboy and a couple of other of those scary type of movies, and he wanted to really ground it in more reality and less silliness, and have it be actually kind of scary, even though it would still be for kids and for Disney and stuff like that. But I guess that just like kind of got kiboshed. It got flooded away. Ryan Gosling was in talks to star in it, but it just never got off the ground. So,
I just feel like when you go into kind of the lore of the Haunted Mansion, like and the fanfic of like what the story is, because like you said, Andre, when you go through the ride normally, there is a very skeletal version of what a story could be, but I think that they tried to keep it vague. Keep it vague so that you could put your own interpretation, and it could be as scary or not as scary as you want.
Right.
Because if you don't tell a kid to look up, they're not going to see the hanging body at the top. Like they're
No.
not.
Exactly.
And if you don't point things out, it's not as scary until you like get older and you're like, oh, that's kind of creepy.
what is going on
So
there?
I think
Floating
that
candelabra.
this could be pretty scary.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't have to have any outright elements. Like I do not need to see the hitchhiking ghost for this to be a good movie.
Right,
No.
And I don't need to have a freaking green glowing ball of Madame Leota. You could have like an ethereal voice that's kind of Madame Leota-ish, but I
Right.
don't need like a straight up fortune teller
one
globe.
to one. Yeah.
Like no, not necessary.
Yeah, because it can obviously be done poorly. It's not like it's a sure thing that this is going to work.
Truth.
This entire movie. So yeah, that's it for the Haunted
I
Mansion.
agree.
Oh,
So
there-
I think we're going to be
There's a
moving
video
on
game,
to a better movie next week.
yes.
Hopefully, I've never seen it, but I'm interested.
Next week we are watching Tim Burton's Frankenweenie. I believe the movie is in traditional Tim Burton claymation style. It came out in 2012. It tells the story of a dog turned Frankenstein.
Since we can't, watch The Nightmare Before Christmas again, although I would love to, and I'm totally going to.
I already watched it, girl.
I know.
He's gone.
We'll do a different Tim Burton movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
And like I said, I've never seen this one, and I did not think it was Disney. There was I don't know where I missed
Yeah,
it.
I must have missed that too. I've seen it before, but
I've seen it just
I didn't
once.
remember that it was Disney.
I saw it once in the theater, and I remember liking it, but I don't necessarily remember it.
That'll be exciting.
I
then.
remember liking it too. I remember it came out at the same time as that other movie called like Paranorman or something like that, and I liked that too. And I can't remember
Oh,
which
yeah.
one I liked better.
Maybe that's why I'm confused.
Yeah, that
'Cause
one was definitely
Paranorman was
not
not.
Disney. Right? Yes.
Well, I'm excited.
Was this around the same time as Coraline too?
Coraline was a few years before.
Yeah, Coraline.
That
And
movie
before
was
that
scary.
was
That movie was
Corpse
scary.
Bride.
That movie was creepy.
Oh, yeah.
Is Corpse
Coraline
Bride
is
Disney?
freaky.
Corpse Bride wasn't that scary to me.
No.
But
Coraline is
Coraline was
terrifying.
like real scary. Like even the more you think about it, you're like, wow, this is really dark.
Right, yeah.
My lord.
That's a...
I do not want to be
Coraline
getting
is
stuck in that
absolutely
house.
terrifying. Yes.
All right, yeah. So
right.
join us next week for that. In the meantime, you can visit us on our social media sites. We are at the Walt Vault Pod on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Instagram is where all the action goes down. So visit us there. Comment what you thought about the Haunted Mansion on our post on the site.
We want to know how much you love it.
Yeah, please tell me if you did love it, and tell me why, because like I want to understand. Some of the people that did actually like this movie, what their motivations were and stuff like that. So yeah, leave a comment on the site. You can also send an email to contact@thewaltvaultpod.com. Maybe I'll read your message on the show next week before we talk about Frank and Weenie. You can help us out by subscribing or rating, reviewing. All of those things help us out, help us get seen on the iTunes charts. We are available on YouTube, Stitcher, Google Play, all of the places that you can get podcasts. I think I'm going to actually put us on Spotify too now soon. So get us everywhere you want. And if you want some extra content, you can head over to patreon.com/thewaltvault. Sign up for as little as $1 or more, and you'll get access to our after show, A Crack in the Vault, where we talk a little bit more about some of these Disney movies. That's it for now, guys. Join us next week for Frank and Weenie. We'll see you next time. The vault is now closed.